Hi, everyone. Welcome to Connecting Our Community. Today, we are so honored and thrilled to have with us Congresswoman Wagner. Thank you so much for being here and giving an update to our chamber community.
Well, thank you, Lori, and I'm grateful to the chamber, the West County Chamber, what you're doing, and certainly the Connecting Our Community is great. I've been to so many of your meetings and your luncheons and your Friday coffees and things. I'm sad we can't get together as a group, but I am hopeful that if we do the things we need to do now to stay healthy and safe, that we'll all be together again. And nothing I want to talk about more than kind of the backbone of our economy, which is a small business community, which is so much at the heart of what you do as a chamber leader here. I can give you a little update on kind of what we've been doing in Congress, and I've been making arrangements, scarily, to head back still this week, I believe. Now, we started out with a phase 1 supplemental about it was about $8 billion, and that seems like a lifetime ago. And then we moved into phase 2, which was just about $100 billion very shortly after the very first supplemental. And that was really for free testing for all Americans. It allowed for paid sick leave through tax credits and things of this nature. Really also took care of our most vulnerable in our society, making sure that the nutritional assistance programs were there, and the emergency food assistance programs, whether it was through SNAP or through WIC or through our seniors that needed kind of meals on wheels. And the second phase, that $100 billion, also bolstered some of the unemployment insurance that we began with. But that quickly, as things escalated come mid-March, was not going to be nearly enough when really we had to shelter in place, stay-at-home orders all across the country. We knew that we had to have a large influx of money in order to help these businesses, that many of which have been told to stand down for no reason of their own other than this horrific COVID-19 virus that I hope we're beginning to turn a corner on here. We'll see. And the big thing we did was the $2.2 trillion CARES package, which again, we did mid-March before we headed back to our districts. And we've been here ever since. And I can tell you that there are multiple facets to the CARES $2.2 trillion. And I'm going to give some websites out and some ways for people to perhaps make sure that they're getting the money and the resources and the assistance that we put into this package. The first was the kind of the one-time, some people call it a tax rebate, a stimulus check. It's really kind of an economic boost check that started to go out to about 80 million Americans last week. This is the $1,200 per individual. If you're joint filers or a married couple, you would get $2,400, and then it's $500 per dependent child. And that's irs.gov/coronavirus. So if you have direct deposit, you will automatically see this show up in your account. And this isn't not just for taxpayers, Lori. This is also if you receive Social Security, you will receive this economic stimulus check. Also, just should be directly just as you receive your Social Security. Now there are some that don't file with a direct deposit. Everybody should. It's much safer. But if you don't, you need to start to go to this website, answer some easy questions at irs.gov/coronavirus, so that you can put in the information and receive your stimulus check. So that was the first thing that we did. The next thing, which is probably most near and dear to the Chamber's heart, it was the PPP program, which it was specifically for small businesses. And we put $350 billion into that program, and it was snapped up in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, now I was going to say that was like boom, it was gone.
it's probably one of the greatest examples of how terrific the partnership between financial institutions, lenders, credit unions, because it's guaranteed by the SBA, the Small Business Administration, but you go straight to your lender and you do the application. And again, this is designed for small businesses with 500 employees or less. And basically, if you keep your employees on payroll, this is also for the small businesses and the 501c3s, the federal government will forgive up to 8 weeks of cash flow, including your payroll, your rent, your utilities at 100%. So it's 2.5 times the average monthly payroll is what you'll be getting in this program. And that money was snapped up, but we've got a plan here to make sure that we are putting more money into this program, because it's wildly popular and very important for, as I said, the economic engine of our country, which is our small businesses. The next thing that we did was we put about $500 billion into Treasury and the Federal Reserve systems and facilities and platforms. And this is one, they have 9 in total that they're phasing in. First one was the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. And then the second that just came online last week is called the Main Street Business Lending Program. So this is a Treasury and a Fed facility. There'll be a total of 9 that should put trillions of liquidity into our system, so we can recover economically with some level of speed and efficiency here. Now, the borrowers here, this is not a forgivable loan, but it's a sound loan, and it's for businesses up to 10,000 employees or up to $2.5 billion in annual revenue. So that's just come online, and you can certainly come to our office, go to the treasury.gov website to find out more about that particular platform. There are several other facilities that the Fed is standing up that I can tell you that are going to provide mutual funds, bonds. It's really just to make the money market. Mutual funds are the credit, dealer credit facilities, commercial paper funding facilities, all of those, again, to put liquidity into the system and make sure that the Federal Reserve is working hand in glove with Treasury. I serve on on the Financial Services Committee as the #2 ranking Republican there. And so we have been very, very involved in standing up these facilities. The first being the Paycheck or the PPP program. The next one here is this Main Street Lending Facility. And then we made sure that we were also, for those that can't stay employed, those that are non-essential workers, those that maybe their employer didn't apply for one of these small business loans. If you have to go on or unemployment insurance benefits, we put in a very large tranche of money, $250 billion. Now, people should know that unemployment insurance benefits are handled by the state. And the state every state does it differently, but Missouri allows for 20 weeks of unemployment insurance benefits. What we did as the federal government is we added another 4 months to that at $600 per week, in addition to what you would be getting from the state of Missouri. And this has begun in the last week or two. And I'm happy to report that we've been working with the Missouri Labor Department very closely with this, getting them all the guidance, because it's a lot of money. The money and the unemployment insurance benefit is not all that high in the state of Missouri, but us adding an additional $600 per week for 4 months through the end of July. This is retroactive to Lori to the end of March. So this program, and today, if you go to labor.mo.gov, this also is going to cover a class and a group of people that even the state of Missouri doesn't cover. So if you are an independent contractor, if you are self-employed, if you're a gig worker, like an Uber driver, Lyft driver, whoever it might be, you now, as of today, can apply at labor.mo.gov to also receive. You may not get the Missouri portion, but you will get the $600 per week for 4 months, all the way through the end of July. So that will hopefully help those that aren't able to remain employed temporarily during this crunch period of time. We put a lot of money into the hospitals and healthcare to fight the pandemic, about $100 billion. And I can tell you that this is going out in 3 tranches. The first $30 billion went out last week, and Missouri has, not Missouri, but St. Louis in our region has, the hospitals have received $58 million to fight the coronavirus and to purchase more PPEs and testings, and also to make up for some of the elective surgeries they may be missing, to pay for these patients that they're trying to treat in their emergency rooms, in their ICUs, and such. So $100 billion to the hospitals and our healthcare facilities, and then $150 billion to the states and local governments. And let me tell you how this works. And half of the money went out last week, and the other half will be out this week. So the state of Missouri alone is going to receive $2.3 billion, a tranche of money. Now, the 2 big population centers, Kansas City and St. Louis, will be drawing off of that some money. So the state, or the St. Louis area, let me check my number here. Yeah, 175 million of that will come to the St. Louis area, it's done on a calculation that's based on your population. So I believe that the county council is passing their supplemental through, needs to be unanimous, and I think they're there. And that will be money for corona-related expenses. They've had to stand up the Emergency Operations Center. They've had to buy testing and PPEs and overtime for our first responders and things of this nature. So $150 billion and $2.3 billion coming to the state, 175 million in 2 different tranches coming to the St. Louis area. So we're thrilled that we're finally getting that out the door here too. So, but those are kind of the main things that we've been working on here in Congress. But we've got kind of a CARES Phase 3 package 2.0 that they're working on right now. I'm hoping, I'm watching the Senate floor on my TV here in my little home in Baldwin, working from my kitchen like we all are out in West. And I can tell you that that we're working on a bipartisan replenishment of a number of these programs. The most important one is the one that I talked about, which is for small businesses, the PPP program. So do not lose hope. We're putting another $300 billion into that program. If you haven't gotten through in the first tranche, additional $300 billion in this package. We'll see. I mean, this is tentative because it hasn't passed the Senate yet. And then we'll have to go back in session, at least a quorum of us. And I plan on heading back to DC, I hope as early as tomorrow or Wednesday to vote for this package. But that will go in for small businesses. Then another $50 billion for something called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. These are usually kind of quick $10,000 loans that go out. It's been totally oversubscribed to, and a lot of folks in the queue for that. We're also sending another $75 billion to the hospitals because their expenses have just skyrocketed, purchasing all the protective equipment and gear. FEMA has done a lot, and so has the SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency, and people are purchasing it from the private sector. The National Strategic Stockpile has been drawn down, but more needs to be purchased. And then $25 billion additional dollars for expanding testing. So everyone's talking about testing, 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 and how important it is. And we all have a role to play in this, both at the federal level, the state, and the local level. And the testing situation is twofold. Well, it's multi-tiered really, but you need the COVID-19 test to find out if you're sick, if you have it. Now you have to be have symptoms, of course, but we're also coming out with these serology tests and things that will test you, these Abbott lab tests you've heard about that will be able to test if you have the antibodies, if you have immunity to it. There is some science and belief out there that maybe some upwards of 25% of our society may have a level of immunity or antibodies built up. So these are called serology tests. So you need to get those kinds of testing out to give people confidence in getting back out and working again, which is what we so want. Health first.
Yeah.
The safety and health and welfare of all those at the West County Chamber and all across the 2nd District in our country is first and foremost. And then our economic recovery will come after that. So we're putting more money in to expand the testing. And as I said, I hope that all of these that I've gone through too, Lori, have been bipartisan. And some haven't gone as quickly as we'd like. And there's been some, like all things that you do when you're legislating is, there's been some cooperation, some coordination, some back and forth, give and take. But all of these have passed in a very largely bipartisan fashion. And I expect that what I'm going to call the CARES Act 2.0, a total of $450 billion more dollars is going to also receive bipartisan support. So I'm waiting to see that things pass the Senate. Then we'll go back. At least a quorum of us will, and I plan on doing that. I was in quarantine myself in my home in Baldwin.
No.
Make it to the last vote. So I plan on flying up if I can get a flight and making it for this vote. I hope sooner rather than later. So those are some of the things that we've been working on, and it's just it's like all of us, one conference call after another, one Zoom meeting after another, working with all the different regulators and agencies and our constituents, the heartbreaking calls that come in of people, they're stranded in Peru or Colombia or India, and we're trying to get all of our citizens safely home. We've been working with the small businesses across our community, with our hospitals, with the governor's administration, and certainly with our local St. Louis County Executive Sam Page and Lyda Cruson, Steve Ailman. We're all one great big economic region, and we have to work hand in glove during these kinds of crises, which we really haven't faced in our lifetime. And this is different. This is not a financial crisis like we saw back in 2007. This was really a health crisis that has certainly upset our economy and our financial system, but I believe it's something we can bounce back from. I'm very hopeful in that regard. But
me too. I'm very optimistic. Then throughout this whole thing, I keep thinking we are going to bounce back. Our economy is going to bounce back, and we're going to get back on our feet. The biggest question that I'm hearing now is, when are we going to open the economy? But I keep telling people, especially with my family and the police world, we're just stay home, be safe, let this pass, and hopefully we can open it up sooner than later. But it's a guessing game right now.
It is, and the president certainly has a task force that's working towards the different phases, the 3 phases to reopen the government. Obviously, the governor does. These are things that are decided at the state and local level. Not every county is alike in the state of Missouri or anywhere. Different, largely. but you know, the four pillars that the governor talked about to reopening the state are really rapidly expanding the testing capacity. And I talked a little bit about some more of the funds we're putting towards that, and the state and local governments are putting investments in that area, expanding our PPE reserves, making sure that that protective gear is available for our first responders, for our hospital employees, our true heroes on the front lines of this pandemic. Third pillar was monitoring hospitals and the healthcare capacity, which we have been pretty lucky here in our region to be able to have enough ICU beds and ventilators and things of this nature to take care of the large influx of folks. And then the fourth pillar is something he called improving the ability to predict outbreaks. And what that really has to do with is contact tracing. So what's important is if you are exposed to someone who has coronavirus, someone comes down with it, then the contact tracers have to find out each person that they have been in contact with, and then they must quarantine for up to 14 days. I had to do it myself. And so it's very important that we continue that kind of contact tracing and being disciplined and diligent in all of these things. But I hope we're going to hit these pillars soon and can get our economy up and running. But you know what, I'd say this isn't about dates, it's about the data and the science and people's health care, and we have to make sure that they're healthy and safe. But no one wants to open up this economy more than all of us that have been on lockdown here. So
it's the leadership. You know, I keep talking when I talk to Sam Page and Rhonda Hum to bring you with Lambert and all the leaders, and it's just tremendous to see the power behind the leadership and coming together and working together. I guess it's neat to see, if you will, to see that collaboration and that, the working behind of the leaders, and just, it truly is just our country coming together and our communities coming together to say, you know what, we're going to fight this, we're going to get through this together. And, just seeing the leaders step up and work. I mean, if people are like, I'm working from home, but I'm working 10 hours a day now.
The constituent calls come in, and I have to say too, and I want to make sure that I leave you the phone numbers for my office here, a district office, and you can contact the district office at 636-779-5449, 636-779-5449. And my Washington, D.C. office is 202-225-1621, or you can even just go to wagner.house.gov, and we will call you back. Everybody in my office is doing constituent services and casework and helping people navigate the labyrinth of trying to stand up all of these different platforms and resources and money, and to help them, whether it's our veterans, whether it's our food banks. You're right, the uplifting stories of the blood drives and people coming out to provide meals and special thank yous to our heroes on the front line, like your husband, like my daughter-in-law, who's a nurse practitioner, and they're all our heroes right now, and we're grateful to them. And we have to make sure that we have the funding and the resources to help them get through this and to help us get through all of this. But contact any of those numbers. My office will step in to help you navigate it, and you'll get a real live call back from a person, and we just look forward to us moving out of this into happier, healthier times. And I thank you for what you're doing and what the West County Chamber is doing, and bringing these what do you call it, connecting our communities programs together. So Can't thank you enough, Laura.
Thank you. Well, I can't thank you enough, and safe travels back to Washington. Hopefully, like you said, you get there, and I'm glad you didn't test positive for, the COVID-19. That was scary when I found out about that. So, but safe in Baldwin in your home.
I am. This is, feel like we've been out here in this home in Baldwin for 26 years now. My husband grew up out here.
Yeah.
My parents had their small businesses and were a part of the West County Chamber back in the day. And yeah, this is home for me, but I'm ready for us all to get back.
Yeah.
I know we're working now, but back where we can get out and live the life that we are used to and want to. But for now, social distancing, washing your hands. If you do have to go out to the grocery store, wear a mask, gloves. Let's just all be safe, and not just ourselves, but our friends, our neighbors, the other folks in our community. Always important.
That's good. Well, thank you so much, Congresswoman Am Wagner. You're just wonderful. I appreciate it so much having this conversation. It's been great talking with you.
Great to let everybody know that the federal government is working, and we are working in a bipartisan way, at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. We're all in this together, and we're going to come out stronger. So thanks to you.
Thank you.